Hello, my friends at Prince of Peace. Tyler here, the Director for Evangelization and Catechesis, and this is week 2 of Rooted in Scripture, the Catholic Faith Explained. And this particular video series is Sacred Scripture and the Catechism. So a lot of our faith is rooted in Scripture from which the tradition flows. And so we want to unpack that each week. So as you know, you can go on to the USCCB, or the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops website, and look at all the mass readings for today, tomorrow, this Sunday. So when you do that, you'll see that this week's gospel is Mark chapter 1, verses 29 through 39. And when you go and open your catechism, when you scroll to the back, and you flip all the way through, you flip to the back, you'll see there's like the index and the glossary. There's also a section that lists out by verse all the books of the Bible and the certain verses in the Bible that correlate to which paragraph in the catechism. So we've started to unpack that here. So this week it's Mark chapter 1, 29 through 39, and that relates to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, paragraph 2602, so 2602. So our gospel this week is this from Mark. And immediately he left the synagogue and entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now Simon's mother-in-law lay sick with a fever, and immediately they told him of her. And he came and took her by the hand and lifted her up, and the fever left her, and she served them. That evening at sundown they brought to him all who were sick or possessed with demons. And the whole city was gathered together about the door. And he healed many who were sick with various diseases, and cast out many demons. And he would not permit the demons to speak, because they knew him. And in the morning, a great while before day, he rose and went out to a lonely place, and there he prayed. And Simon and those who were with him pursued him. And they found him and said to him, "Everyone is searching for you." And he said to them, "Let us go on to the next towns, that I may preach there also, for that is why I came out." And he went throughout all Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and casting out demons. The paragraph in the Catechism that correlates with this scripture is Catechism of the Catholic Church 2602. Jesus often draws apart to pray in solitude on a mountain, preferably at night. He includes all men in his prayer, for he has taken on humanity in his incarnation, and he offers them to the Father when he offers himself. Jesus, the Word, who has become flesh, shares by his human prayer in all that his brethren experience. He sympathizes with their weaknesses in order to free them. It was for this that the Father sent him. His words and works are the visible manifestation of his prayer in secret. So we want to unpack that for you all a little bit. And please know that these are my reflections, so take them with a grain of salt. But this is how this has impacted my life. And this week in particular, when I wrote this on Monday, here we are, I'm recording this on Friday. Had no clue that yesterday when I went to pick up my daughter from school that she would come down with one of those stomach flus that just seems to tear through for about 12 hours and then leaves like it was never here. So here I am working from home, recording this for you all, and here's the article, no joke. It said, "Have you noticed that time seems to be speeding up?" So I know in my own life, it seems like the kids have a birthday every other month. They're aging at twice the speed of a normal kid, and things just don't seem to be slowing down. I mean, Christmas feels like just yesterday we were, putting up the tree, let alone celebrating Christmas. And here we are. It's February 2nd, and spring is right around the corner. I think the groundhog didn't see a shadow today. So spring is right around the corner if you're into that type of thing. And there's so many times in my life I just wish that we could hit pause and slow down. And if we're lucky, my wife and I will find time to fill each other in on the day. We'll catch up. We'll, maybe share a meal, and then maybe a quick kiss before bed if one of us doesn't fall asleep first. And then every once in a while, someone in the house gets sick. The whole thing grinds to a halt, and it's like, who's going to take care of the kid? And life, vacations, work, everything just kind of comes to a standstill, and our whole routines are thrown off balance. No joke, couldn't have planned this. Here I am home. I was with my daughter all night, and I didn't want to pass that around the office today, so I stayed home. Knock on wood, doing all right, but it's you gotta love those stomach bugs that kids bring home from school. Can you imagine being Simon, who, as we all know, would later go on to be called Peter, listening to Jesus for the first time and seeing Jesus cast out these unclean spirits? And Jesus says, "Hey, Simon, follow me. I'll make you fishers of men. Come follow me." And I can't help but think that maybe there was something holding him back, but Simon went. He listened. He watched, and after Jesus had been in the synagogue and preaching, and all were astonished, he invites Jesus back to his home. And who's at his home? It's his mother-in-law who's been laying ill and sick. And I'm sure as Jesus was healing and casting out demons and preaching and doing all these marvelous things, this was probably running in the back of Simon's mind that, if only I could invite Jesus in, if I didn't have something to worry about at home, I could follow this guy. So you notice he invites Jesus to his home. He tells Jesus of his ill mother-in-law. And Lord, I want to follow you, but I have a duty to care for here. And Jesus goes and you notice he heals by touch. Touch is very important. You have to invite Jesus in. He touches her. He grabs her by the hand and raises her up. And she's healed. What a relief Simon must have gone through. Lord, I would love to follow you, but I have to take care of this first. There's a power in the presence of Jesus, in the touch, in inviting him in. How often do we use our responsibilities as an excuse to sit still for a moment? Like, oh, sorry, I can't go in. I got a sick kid, and I'm going to work from home. I'm going to do my best, but don't forget there's a birthday party coming up, or there's a practice, and no, I got a sick. I can't do it. I can't fulfill the responsibility. You got to take care of this. You got to stay home. And we speak as though no one understands what we're going through. Like, I would love to do that, but you don't know what's happening here. And we have to tell that to Jesus. We say, you don't know what it's like, the burden that this life has placed on me. I would follow you, but I have to take care of this first. And our catechism this week tells us that Jesus shares by his human prayer in all that his brethren experience. He sympathizes with our weaknesses in order to free us. So you see, Jesus does know what it's like to see the sickness, to see the burdens, to to be moved with compassion, to care for people, and he heals them. He's there. He wants to heal you. And he called Simon to ministry, and when Simon invited him in, he was able to live out his vocation as a husband and a family, all by inviting Jesus into his life. What does Jesus do after he's cared for these people, after he's been healing the unclean spirits? How does he recharge and refresh himself? The Catechism tells us he often draws apart to pray in solitude. I like the part on a mountain, preferably at night. That sounds so just freeing. But in my little world, in this community, I live here in Lewiston. I'd have to drive quite a bit to get to a mountain, let alone at night. And I'm probably going to run across a moose. And that sounds great in theory, but in practice, how can we do that too? And as I search for this mythical pause button, Jesus already showed us what it was. It was to draw away in prayer and solitude, if only for a moment. I was at a men's conference, and something that always stuck with me that I wish I put more into practice than I do is that there's no problem that cannot be solved by getting up an hour earlier. If you don't have time to pray, try to get up a little bit earlier. Before the kids get up, before your spouse gets up, before you check your phone, the emails can wait, the text messages can wait. Crack open the scriptures. That is God speaking to you today. Start off your day in silence. Offer up a prayer of thanksgiving. Give it all to God. All the ills and anxieties and things that are holding you back. Ask Jesus to take those so you can follow him today. So when you read scripture, you're not reading about the God who was. You're reading about the God who is. You're encountering a person. Jesus is calling you to follow him, even if it's just into the other room. That's it for this week, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a new program here at the church, and if you want more of the Catechism, we have an upcoming men's retreat. For that, we have the Monday night adult catechesis. Father Dan leads that from Holy Family Hall. It's available on YouTube, Facebook, the parish website, and if you want to interact on Microsoft Teams, or you can come in person. So all that and more. This parish certainly has plenty of opportunities to learn about your faith. We have adoration to encounter Jesus. We have over 10 masses on a weekend, two daily masses to attend, and with Lent coming up, there'll be a third, an evening mass coming up at 5:30. Plenty of chances to deepen your faith here. It is up to you to take the opportunities and grab them. If there's something you want to see happen, let us know. We'd love to have that conversation. God bless you all. We'll see you next time.